Welcome to CBC Windsor News at 6. I'm Meg Roberts. Thanks so much for spending part of your evening with us tonight. For the first time in nearly a month after the cyber attack, hospital officials made themselves available to media. Tonight, we're learning more about that data breach, plus reaction tonight from a member of the city's Muslim community following the Nathaniel Veltman trial. Yesterday, the 22-year-old was found guilty of first-degree and attempted murder. And from a hospital room to a boxing ring, a local athlete with a comeback story like no other. For the first time in 4 weeks, the CEOs of 5 hospitals impacted by a ransomware attack in southwestern Ontario held an online news conference on the incident, taking questions from the media today. CBC's Jennifer LaGrassa followed along for updates, and she joins me now live. Jen, can you run us through what those hospital leaders discussed today?
Yeah, so after 4 weeks, Meg, we finally got a clearer picture of the impact that this has had on patient care and the information that's been leaked. CEOs say that they were hit hard by the attack, but are getting by with the support of frontline staff.
We apologize for this, and we apologize for the inconvenience this has had and the issues this has caused for our patients in our community. But I can tell you individually and collectively, our focus is on them. Our focus is on our staff to regain that trust.
We learned a bit more today about some of the backlogs this has created, and it really varies across each facility. Some hospitals said that while some surgeries in the first week were delayed, they're mostly back on track now. But diagnostic imaging, things like CT scans or MRIs, those continue to be down at all of the facilities. Some are relying on organizations in the community to take these on. Blue Water Health says it has prioritized cases, but has still had to cancel 3,500 appointments related to imaging. It's not sure how long people will have to wait to be rebooked. Windsor Regional says they are rescheduling thousands of people. Erie Shores in Leamington says its patients are dealing with a 6-week delay. And when it comes to patient data, each hospital has had some type of patient or employee data stolen. All of them, except Windsor Regional Hospital, say the data has included social insurance numbers. Blue Water Health has the most number of patients impacted. Today, they started calling 20,000 people whose SIN was stolen. They've also opened a phone line for people to call. The CEOs say that they're still confident in Transform, that's the hospital IT provider, and know that they're working hard to restore systems.
Jen, you've spoken with people in the community and some experts who have wanted answers a lot sooner. What did the hospitals have to say about concerns that they haven't been as transparent as some people would like to see them?
Yeah, so I did ask them about this today, and Bill Mara from Hotel Dieu, as well as David Mouget with Windsor Regional Hospital, they both responded to me. They say that they feel like they have been transparent, noting that they've released 8 statements in the past 4 weeks about this situation. Here's some of that response.
There's a criminal investigation. When you've been victimized by a criminal syndicate and the OPP are involved and Interpol's involved and the FBI is involved, what you need to do is protect the integrity of the investigation, protect people from what could be perpetrated during an investigation. And so we feel very strong that the 8 media releases in 26 days has been transparent. The other part of our communication has been with our people and our patients, working with the Privacy Commissioner, having town halls, meeting with our staff one-on-one on the units, issuing letters and notices. So there has been transparency. It may not meet the standard of some people, but we've done an exceptionally good job in a very responsible and safe way to not further compromise what we've already experienced.
And Mouget mentioned that CBC News had an expert in our broadcast last week who said there has been transparency. But again, we've also heard from other experts and patients from the hospitals that have told us otherwise.
Well, thanks for this, Jen. If you're looking for more information about this, you can find more details on our website at cbc.ca/Windsor. Well, just yesterday, Nathaniel Veltman was found guilty of 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted murder. That trial being held here in Windsor. Veltman killed 4 members of a Muslim family in London in 2021. It was a trial closely watched by many, but especially southwestern Ontario's Muslim community. Ouided Mezahi is with the Windsor Islamic Association. She sat in on the 10-week trial and has been following the proceedings closely. I sat down with her today to see how the community is doing and how they hope to heal.
I think everybody is feeling exhausted and at the same time grateful to finally have the chance to process everything. I don't think it's time yet for us to put it behind us because, as you know, the sentencing hearing is yet to come. And we're looking forward to that with great anticipation to hear from the family themselves. They will be delivering their victim impact statements and we'll be hearing from the judge. So I think this has just been a moment of relief for everybody and an acknowledgement of the pain that they've been going through for the past 2 years. And like I said, just a moment to breathe and process.
How does the family and people in the Muslim community heal and move forward after such a devastating situation?
That's a good question. Healing, I think, usually comes with time. So I'm hopeful that now that he has been pronounced guilty on all counts, that will provide some healing to the family. I don't know if they will ever be completely healed, but one of our main focuses at the Windsor Islamic Association is to build emotional resilience in our community and to empower our community to feel confident to practice their religion without fear of attacks or Islamophobic harassment.
I don't have to tell you, but obviously this was a shocking crime, a horrible tragedy, all because of this family's religious background. What do you want people to remember or perhaps take away from this trial?
It's a big question for me. I think there are lots of thoughts swirling around in my head, but time and time again, I just go back to the young boy who was orphaned. This was a family of 5 going on a walk on a summer evening. They were hoping to enjoy the weather, and unfortunately, 4 of them were killed, and the young boy had to witness his mother, father, his sister, and his grandmother all killed in front of him. And he was seriously injured. And so I think it's very easy to get sucked into some kind of political commentary, but really this is just the story of a family who was attacked for no good reason. And I am thinking of that young boy and how he has to carry on with his life after this and how this will impact him.
From a hospital room to the boxing ring, Windsorite Jaden Trudell is turning what was a vicious attack on him as a teenager into an Olympic dream. I sat down at the gym with Trudell to hear his inspiring comeback story. 1 week before Jaden Trudell was rushed to hospital in critical condition 5 years ago, he enrolled in a class at Border City Boxing. On September 12, 2018, a group of teens attacked Trudell near Herman Secondary School where he attended. The brutal beating caught on camera and left him with a fractured skull, brain bleeding, hearing damage, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Doctors told him he would never be able to box again. Now, 5 years after the assault, the 19-year-old is vying for a spot at the 2024 Paris Olympics.
All the bullying in school and everything, like just feeling like a victim, feeling weak, I just found like this is something I could do that make me not feel that way.
Following the attack, Trudell's grandfather took him to Border City Boxing. That's where he met Andre Georges, who is now his coach. He wasn't able to fight per doctor's orders, but he was able to train.
So he got in the ring and he started doing some shadow boxing. I said, you know what, he's not bad, okay. I'll take him on and we'll see where he goes from here.
Trudell returned to the same school 4 months after recovering, and the bullying raged on, but so did his training.
To me, like, it was all I really had, like, at the moment, because, like, that was, like, the only outlook the good outlook I had, because school was terrible, and because of school being terrible, I had no friends, no anything, so this is all I look forward to every day.
2 years later, doctors cleared Trudell to compete. And he hasn't stopped winning since. In just a year and a half, he's won both the provincial and national championships in his weight class and won a gold medal in a major tournament in Finland earlier this year. How much of your success do you think is driven by what happened in 2018?
I don't think any of this would have happened So probably all of it. It's like a Cinderella story, you know, like it just seems like something you watch or hear like a movie, you know, like I don't know, even like when I think about it, like it doesn't feel real to me.
His next hurdle, the Olympic trials in Montreal this December. He's also had to move up a weight class as his current one is no longer an Olympic category. His coach isn't too concerned.
I've never seen nobody work this hard. Like, I'll probably never, ever see another human work this hard coming through those doors again.
Trudell's grandfather, Kevin, who followed the ambulance from Windsor to London on that day in September of 2018, and who advocated tirelessly for the boy through the court case that ensued, couldn't be more proud.
This probably isn't a sport I would have preferred him in, or his mother or his grandmother. Like I said, just in bowling to him at one time, but I didn't go over too big.
But he's quick to point out all the pictures of his grandson on the walls at the gym and to share the impact Trudell has had on some of the younger boxers at the club.
This place has been Jaden's saving grace.
Of course, we're wishing Jaden all the best of luck. Now, opposition is mounting against the proposal by the Ambassador Bridge to allow some types of hazardous materials to cross. The bridge wants to handle flammable liquids and corrosive materials. But as Dale Molnar reports, there are fears that could pose a hazard to the environment and to people.
The bridge is appealing to the Michigan Department of Transportation, or MDOT, to handle hazardous materials such as gasoline and batteries for electric vehicles. But MP Brian Massey is opposed. He says doing that puts the environment at risk.
This has been an issue that's in 2013 they tried to get access to these types of truck crossings and materials, and in 2020 as well. And I worked with then Minister Mark Garneau to stop it because environmentally we put ourselves at a greater risk, and the bridge itself is not, built to deal with the spilling of liquids.
Massey is upset with former Canadian Transport Minister Omar Alghabra for not funding the continuation of the truck ferry. Until earlier this fall, that was the way hazardous goods could cross the river. The Gordie Howe International Bridge will be authorized to carry the substances, but it won't open until early 2025. Hazardous goods must now be routed through Sarnia.
I know that it's inconvenient for some of the distance to go, but at least if there's a spill, we don't permanently threaten our water supply.
Opposition is also coming from Sandwichtown residents and Ward 2 Councillor Fabio Costante. They're worried about the safety.
So it's like, when is the next Lake Megantic going to happen here? And you can see it's a flat land out here. And if these houses don't go, how many people from the university are going to be affected?
There are so many people that live in and around the Ambassador Bridge. I think there are other more appropriate crossings where hazardous materials could flow through.
The Ambassador Bridge says trucks will be escorted by safety vehicles, and the bridge claims to be equipped with the proper fire suppression systems, but Massey says chemicals would still wash into the river. He has also heard allegations that hazardous materials are already crossing the bridge unenforced.
We've seen even footage in the past, I know, of trucks with the wrong placards that they've used to skirt the laws.
Massey says if the Gordie Howe Bridge isn't built in time to handle the batteries from the EV battery plant, they could be transported through the train tunnel. He plans to lobby the current transport minister to oppose the bridge plan. CBC News has reached out to the transport ministry, and we are awaiting a response. MDOT has begun a public consultation process that will wrap up on December 23rd. Canadians are invited to voice their concerns. Brian Massey says he will also be making a submission. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Windsor.
Another union has been awarded extra salary increases to compensate workers for the Ford government's wage-limiting legislation. The wage hike is retroactive, essentially undoing the controversial Bill 124. Queen's Park reporter Lorenda Redekop has that story.
The workers, united, will never be defeated.
It's a union that had a loud fight with the province a year ago. Now, QP education workers are the latest to be awarded extra money for the 3 years their wages were limited under Bill 124.
So really excited that we were able to reach this deal.
The union has 55,000 members, among them educational assistants, janitors, and librarians. According to the union, workers will get an extra 0.75% for 2 of the years under Bill 124, more for the third year, between 1.5 and 3.25%, to be determined by an arbitrator.
is not going to be just a help to the education workers, but is also going to be a help to the school boards who are having terrible recruitment and retention problems.
The controversial Bill 124 limited public sector wages to a maximum 1% a year for 3 years. It was ruled unconstitutional last year by a judge, though the province is appealing.
That settlement applies whatever happens with the appeal under Bill 124. Those workers are going to get more than 1%.
Lawyer Stephen Barrett has represented unions in their fight against Bill 124. This is just the latest deal. Other unions have also been awarded more money above the limits of Bill 124, including nurses and other healthcare workers, staff at universities, and workers in the energy sector.
Although the appeal is still outstanding and we will eventually get a decision on the ground, I think Bill 124's impact has been blunted.
It's unknown when the Court of Appeal decision will come. The government declined to comment on this story. Lorenda Redicomp, CBC News, Toronto.
The historic 118-year-old Annunciation Church in Stony Point is no more. Demolition began on the church yesterday and continued today. The church was built in 1905. It was closed in 2006 and later sold to a developer. Residents stood and watched as wrecking equipment tore through the walls. One resident called it a sad day. Certain artifacts in the church have been saved. However, some residents also believe a priest was buried in the basement and wanted a survey to confirm before demolition. The church is being torn down to make way for a housing development. The University of Windsor's campus radio station is celebrating 40 years of FM broadcasting. CJM first hit FM airwaves in November 1983.
We champion independent music in all of its various forms, be it jazz, soul, alternative, Middle Eastern, and we've had various different programming. It exists, we'll air it. The spirit of CJM is people that really take the initiative and just say, hey, I could do an Indigenous radio program, or I could do a Ukrainian program.
Located in the basement of the university's Student Center, CJAM was founded in the 1970s as an AM broadcaster. The station's first FM frequency was 91.5 FM. In 2009, CJAM changed to 99.1 FM. CJAM is marking its 40th anniversary with merchandise and events this weekend. It's also time for the station's annual fundraising drive. Since its beginning, CJAM has depended on volunteers for unique nonprofit programming.
In Windsor, CJAM is the only opportunity where students or pretty much anyone in the community can start a show of their own and be given that platform to either share music, share opinions, share stories. And I've met so many cool and interesting individuals through volunteering at CJAM, and it's been so much fun, honestly.
Beautiful shot of the tower camera there. It was a nice warm morning that turned into a bit of a chilly day. We have your full weather forecast coming up after the break. The 110th edition of the Grey Cup goes Sunday in Hamilton, and the party is already well underway.
Go Bombers, go! Go Montreal, go! Remember, the Grey Cup has to be impartial.
Fans from both Winnipeg and Montreal are already in Hamilton for Grey Cup week events. It's the 4th consecutive Grey Cup game for the Blue Bombers, who are attempting to win their 3rd title in 4 years. The Alouettes hold the record for the longest championship drought, having last appeared in 2010. Colette, I know there's some excited Canadian football fans. What are they in for weather-wise?
Yeah, let's take a look at that. I'm like the Grey Cup. I'm going to, lady, I'm just going to be impartial about this. Do you have anyone you're pulling for, Meg?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
And I've got some family who were Toronto fans, and so, that ended. So I'm impartial as well, and A+ for creativity, for sure.
I know, look at her, right? Okay, so we're the Grey Cup. We're going to just be neutral about this. However, I'm not neutral about some of the musical guests, Green Day. That's going to be amazing. So just taking a look here at the forecast and what we can expect. And this is for kickoff time. So at 6 p.m. on Sunday in Hamilton, 2 degrees. How about that? Winds will be out of the northwest, not very strong. They'll be a little stronger in the afternoon hours and then kind of pulling back a little bit. So that will help. But by the time that game is winding up, some much colder air is going to be pushing in that night, so it'll get quite a bit chillier. It was not chilly, not at all. If we look at some of the daytime highs, and I know we had the cold front go through, so many of these much earlier in the day, checking out St. Catharines, winning this match, 17 degrees. That was around 7 a.m., however, and then those winds changed direction. The cooler air has been flowing in, and so this is where the temperatures sit currently, and tonight we are going to find those readings slipping down below freezing. So the winds coming in from the north, when we get those blowing over 15, 20 kilometers an hour, you begin to feel that wind chill factor. So we'll take a look at the wind chills through the overnight hours in a moment. The showers from earlier that were associated with the cold front, well, as it's moved through and the winds have changed direction, we are getting, of course, some of that clearing occurring too in the skies. There's a bad frame here that keeps popping up in our satellite imagery. There it is, but that's fine. You can see what's happening here is we have been drying out. The big picture shows where that wet weather is, most of it now south of the border or just exiting the province there to the east. So as that carries on and we get a ridge of high pressure building in, it's a very nice setup. I know temperatures are going to be cooler than what they've been, but it's just kind of pushing us back closer to seasonal norms, and with some sunshine, a really good feel once things start to warm up. So there will be some fair weather cloud pushing in, a little denser with some wet flurries into eastern Ontario, but I'm keeping that out of the forecast, keeping it away from southwestern Ontario. And then into Sunday, tries to put a glancing blow in through the area, but still I'm keeping sun in our forecast there. So be aware tomorrow morning, your Saturday morning, if you're not sleeping in, you're going to be out there early. Temperatures through the overnight are quite cool. So even in the morning, although the wind chill will back off, we're still going to be talking about it feeling pretty chilly. And then what a nice Saturday, 9 degrees, Sunday, sunny, 7 degrees, but then watch out, some colder air is going to be pushing in there. Most of it to the east, but still kind of Monday morning and into next week, some cooler feels.
Well, thanks so much for that, Colette.
You're welcome, Meg.
All right, we still got more coming up. Stay tuned. The United Nations suspended aid deliveries to Gaza today due to a shortage of fuel and a communications shutdown in the Palestinian territory. The UN says civilians face the immediate possibility of starvation due to a lack of food supplies. It follows a stark admission from Israel's prime minister that the military has not been successful in minimizing civilian casualties in the war with Hamas. Scenes like this are playing out across the Palestinian territory and the few healthcare facilities that are still functioning. Israel has also dropped leaflets around the town of Han Yunis, urging people to evacuate. That appears to suggest its ground operation is moving further south into an area that Israel had originally told people was a safe zone. Well, that's it for CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for news anytime, you can go to our website at cbc.ca/Windsor. Thanks so much for tuning in. Looking forward to seeing you back here tomorrow night.